to talk today about my most controversial Star Wars take. Um, I grew up with Star Wars, been a fan since the beginning. Uh, I think that speaks for itself. But anyway, I've only read a couple of the books, only a couple of the comics, but all of the TV and movie materials I've seen at least once, if not repeatedly. So anyway, my most controversial Star Wars hot take is that it's basically Yoda's fault. Yoda was responsible for the downfall of the Jedi Order, the collapse of the Republic, the rise of the Empire, the return of the Sith. That I put that right on Yoda's shoulders. So look, the guy's 900 years old. He's been on the Jedi Council for the last 800 years. He has actively presided over the long term and immediate decline of the Jedi Order. I mean, he's been the only Grand Master of the Jedi Order for 200 years. Essentially, every living Jedi came up under Yoda, under Yoda's tutelage, his leadership, his guidance, his direction as the only Grand Master for 6 to 8 human lifetimes. Not lifetimes, but 200 years is like 6 to 8 generations of Jedi, right? So Yoda presided over the collapse, the corruption and collapse of the Jedi Order. Um, Look, let's look at Yoda. We don't know his species. The only other two that we're aware of are Yaddle and Grogu. Um, Yoda really had no connection to his own people, his own society, his own culture. And I think that Yoda's isolationism and his lack of connection, social and emotional detachment, drove the Jedi fear of attachment. And Yoda originated, enforced, and spread the broken Jedi policies that eventually destroyed the Order. He presided over the Jedi becoming ascetics. He helped transform them into soldiers. He was naive and blind to the return of the Sith the entire time it happened. Palpatine rose right under Yoda's nose. Plagius was there the entire time. Yoda had no idea. Um, Yoda originally tried to exclude Anakin from the Jedi Order, part of Yoda's broken policies about who was too old. But Yoda accepted Anakin under the clause, the requirement that Qui-Gon train him. Obi-Wan was made a knight in that same ceremony, that same moment in Phantom Menace. Obi-Wan was completely unqualified. He just left being a Padawan himself. And then Qui-Gon was killed, and Anakin's responsibility for Anakin immediately transferred to Obi-Wan. Like, um, Yoda let him in only because Qui-Gon was going to train him, and then he immediately goes to the least qualified person to take on the most dangerous student. That's a huge responsibility. Yoda could have helped. There's a lot Yoda could have done, but he didn't. He didn't lift a finger to help Shmi. He didn't do anything to help Anakin's mental state. He didn't pay any attention to any of the crazy shit that Anakin was doing. Why did Yoda let their least experienced master train their most dangerous pupil? Why didn't Yoda see Anakin's slaughter of the Sand People? Why didn't Yoda see Palpatine? Why didn't Yoda see Anakin and Padme? I mean, if lack of attachment was so important that Yoda's been enforcing it for hundreds of years, He completely ignores that for the most dangerous pupil being trained by the least qualified master. Are you kidding me? And then on top of that, Yoda doesn't intervene with the way that Windu is treating Anakin. Um, 800 years, and Yoda is just sitting back and letting all this happen. He knew about Force Ghosts. He knew about Mortis. He knew about the Dagobah caves. He knew exactly what was going on, and he didn't do anything. Yoda was a senile old fool. Okay, that's all there is to it. Let's just assume that Yoda's lifespan for his species was comparable, to a human lifespan, 900 years old to 90 years old. Okay, so basically, from a human perspective, Yoda served from being a teenager until he was in his 90s. He was the only one running the show for decades in human terms, and he kept the reins of power until he was 90 years old in human terms, 900, something in his terms. He finally leaves. And why does he leave? Because of his own failures. Yoda destroys the Jedi Order, destroys the Republic, and does he stick around to fix it? Does he do anything to help? No. He runs away and hides. Like, this is fucking insane. And instead of doing anything to repair the damage he's done, he vanishes and then pretty much dies, like, right afterwards. Luke shows up and Yoda pokes him a little bit and then just fucking croaks. Yoda was incredibly irresponsible. He was a terrible leader. He should have stepped down hundreds of years prior when he was in his, relative young old age for his species. But he was driven by all of the things that he said a Jedi should not be. Ego, pride, lust for power, right? Like, what is it that we hate the most in others? The things that we see in ourselves. The people that we have the most distaste for are the people that reflect elements of our own personality that we don't like, okay? And Yoda was driven by ego, by pride, by lust for power, and that drive ruined the Jedi, it ruined the Republic, and frankly, I blame Yoda. I think it was almost entirely his fault. Yoda was the longest serving leader of the Jedi Order, and Yoda killed it. That's all there is to it, everybody. Like, it's Yoda's fault, and I feel like we need to recognize that. So, thank you for listening.